Part 23. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 221. Tianfirong ran in from the outside and poured a glass of water before saying, "I heard that, there are still 7 days, and the black wind blowing from the Hefeng cliff will be reduced to the weakest level, that is, after 7 days, you can go down to Hefeng cliff. This black wind weakening period will last for 10 days, if it continues, you must return within these 10 days, otherwise it will be difficult to survive. The place at Hefeng cliff is very strange. There is no good scenery on the cliff, and even the spiritual energy is bad. What keeps the monks coming to take risks is the things below the cliff. There are some rare spiritual materials that monks need, and even Jindan monks can use them. Otherwise, there would be no Jindan cultivator coming to a place with such a bad environment. However, Hefenja blows the black wind from the bottom of the cliff all the year round. The black wind is mixed with a strange energy. That energy can restrain the cultivation of the monks. It is also difficult for the monks of Dan Dachen to survive. When the black wind weakens, the monks can exert their strength in the refining period, and rely on their physical strength to climb to the bottom of the cliff, but cannot fly within the black wind cliff. Furthermore, we were deceived, those bastards. As far as the map they gave, you can buy 10 or 8 copies in this town, and the copies are different. Zhang said that it was the place where the nascent soul cultivators Saturday. I'm so angry. If I knew, I would just kill them. Tianfirong gritted his teeth in anger, thinking that he had joked that the Jindan cultivator had no backbone, and he was good enough, but he didn't expect them to be deceived by such a coward. Guyao laughed when he heard it, and patted Tianfirong on the shoulder comfortingly. Tian brother, don't be angry, did we really think we could find the place where Yuanying cultivator sits? But it just happened to be on the way. Tell them this. A truth, you can't underestimate any monk, just take it as a lesson. Tianfirong twitched the corners of his mouth. What else could he say, but he made a decision in his heart that if he ran into those monks again, he would have to beat them up to make them scream, "Dare to play with me? Let them eat and walk around." In the remaining 7 days, Guyao and the others continued to inquire about useful information while preparing for the descent to Hefeng cliff. There were cultivators who went down the cliff to explore constantly, and they have sorted out some experiences over the years, and there are also merchants specializing in this aspect of business. Sell items such as magic talismans and elixir that can slightly resist the black wind. Guyao also bought 2 kinds of medicinal pills. He heard that the ingredients for refining medicinal pills were collected from below, which made Guyao more interested in Zaya Hefenja. Everything is ready, just wait for the black wind to be at its weakest. On the 6th day, a few more monks came to Hefeng town. Except for the relevant personnel, they did not attract the attention of other monks, because there were monks coming and going here at any time. It was Difeng who came here, and someone came to see his senior immediately. The 4 of them also lived in this inn. Are the seniors moving now or waiting until the bottom of Hefeng cliff? Difeng showed a bloodthirsty smile. Of course, it will be more interesting to wait until Hefenja. The people who came to report did not dare to look up, for fear of annoying the evil star. Yes, the little one has already prepared the items for the senior to go down the cliff. On the 7th day, the 4 of Guyao went out of town with the other monks to Hefeng cliff. Although the black wind had weakened, the black wind in the sky could be seen whimpering from a distance, as if countless unjust souls were shouting in their ears. The 4 had come to explore the situation before, so they were not surprised by this scene. The stones on the cliff have been ravaged by the black wind for many years and have turned black. If they can survive this black wind, this stone must not be simple. Bare patches everywhere. Standing on the edge of the cliff, I can feel that the energy contained in the black wind tends to be dark. It seems to wake up the darkness deep in people's hearts, making people violent, and the closer to the black wind, the spiritual power in the body becomes stagnant. Stand up. From time to time, people come to ask them if they are willing to form a team. After all, the 4 Jindan cultivators are still relatively strong, and being able to join the team will greatly improve their survival rate. However, they were all rejected by Guyao, and the 4 just wanted to act alone. Which makes others feel sorry. Just as they were waiting, a few more cultivators came from behind, and they stood not far from them and waited. Guyao and Qi Changjai didn't try to feel it, but they could sense a malicious gaze swept over wantonly. It seemed that he wanted to tear them apart to see to the end. Guyao frowned displeasedly and looked back, only to see a man standing there with his arms crossed, his eyes still not restrained, because when Guyao looked over, he deliberately grinned to reveal his white teeth, and smiled evilly at them. His smile was revealing a bloodthirsty connotation. "Who is that?" "It's coming for us," Tian Firong said unhappily. The maliciousness in that smile was too obvious, as if he treated them as prey and was destined to be unable to escape from his palm, and his cultivation base was longer than Qi Changjai. It's slightly higher, but even so, it shouldn't be so reckless. Unless it was meant for them. At this moment, a sound transmission entered their ears. It was a monk surnamed Lu who wanted to get in touch with them before. "How did you provoke this guy? He is the famous Difeng of Taluiman. He is ruthless, and few of the targets he targets can escape, and when you get off the Black Wind Cliff, you'd better avoid this evil spirit." When the cultivator surnamed Lu said this, he didn't look that way at all, for fear of causing Difeng suspicion, but compared to Difeng, he still wanted to show the 4 of Guyao, in case they met under the cliff, what danger. "I hope someone can help." Too Romanesque? Guyao first expressed his gratitude to the cultivator. It is no wonder that after this person arrived, many cultivators obviously distanced themselves from him, resulting in a large space around Difeng except for the 4 of them. "Is it brought by the surnamed Mu?" Tian Firong gritted his teeth. "It's not impossible." Qi Changjai's voice was light, and facing Difeng's malicious smile, his expression didn't change much. "Talaman is powerful, and it is not difficult to find us who have not deliberately hidden our deeds on the territory of Talaman. Because of this, when they arrived at Hefeng town, they only noticed the obscure gaze. Obviously, someone sent someone to stare at them earlier, except for Muan, who was also Taluiman." The little fat man glanced, and the monks who recognized Difeng not only stayed away from him, but also cast sympathy and schadenfreude at the 4 of them who were being watched by Difeng. Just then, someone shouted, "The black wind has stopped." Sure enough, the black wind has weakened a lot, but the so-called black wind has stopped, and it is just a breeze from a strong wind, but the light here has become a lot brighter, and some monks can't wait to take out various tools and climb down the cliff. Obviously has been here more than once and is very experienced. "Let's go to." Qi Changjai grabbed Guyao's arm and walked to the edge of the cliff. The entire space of Hefeng cliff was very wide. Standing on the edge of the cliff and looking down, although the black wind stopped, there was still black fog tumbling below. Like a gigantic beast, with its huge net hunting mouth, just waiting for the monks to take the initiative to bring it vegetables. Sure enough, the spiritual power is limited, and at this position, the strength of Jindan can no longer be exerted. Tian Firong felt it and said, "The further down the line, the greater the impact will be, until only the power of the Qi refining period can be exerted." Fortunately, the monks who came here are all in the same situation, otherwise they can only wait to be slaughtered, and others can easily solve them. The 4 of them discreetly tapped the defensive amulet, took out the hard dagger, and jumped down. When the spiritual power in the body became more and more difficult to mobilize, the dagger inserted into the stone of the cliff and used strength to control their figure. Otherwise, they would fall straight down like ordinary people, and they might fall into a mess of flesh. Looking up and seeing that others descended earlier than them, but climbed slower than them, Tian Firong and Little Fatty were very fortunate to have followed Guyao to train. There was a clatter next to it, and a black shadow flew straight down. After a while, there was a harsh sound, and another person came down. The harsh sound was made by the sword piercing the stone, and the four of them knew without turning their heads. Come on, the man is the Difeng of the Talamon. Kaiyufeng made a throat-slashing gesture at them, then left, and the whole person swiftly went downstream like a fish. Guyao frowned. Who is stronger, this person or Yan Yuanjing? Qi Changjai retracted his gaze and said, Yan Yuanjing speaks on the basis of his strength. This person should act without restraint. As long as the goal is achieved, everyone should be careful, and don't let him trick him. This kind of unscrupulous person who only wants to achieve his goal is actually more difficult to deal with than Yan Yuanjing. Qi Changfang prefers to fight with a cultivator like Yan Yuanjing. At this moment, a red snake-like object suddenly jumped towards them from below, and the target was very clear, pointing directly at Guyao. Qi Changjai was furious, and it was Difeng who had just made a provocative move, and this started. A sword chi was emitted, the red snake-like object burst open immediately, and the thick smell spread out. Qi Changjai made a decisive decision, get out of here quickly. This thing should be Difeng's own sacrificial item, which is used to disgust Guyao and the others. No matter if he doesn't do it, it will bring trouble. As it is now, the strong smell of blood is likely to attract the creatures living here. Come over. A black shadow jumped out from Guyao's shoulder, opened his mouth to suck, and the bursting blood mist was sucked out by the big mouth. Guyao said in shock, It's a cub, is it all right? The smell of blood has disappeared. Qi Changjai also looked at the cat, who was shaking his head in surprise, and pinched the back of his neck with his hand. You little guy is not affected by the environment here? Yes, then you can explore the way ahead. If anyone wants to take action, you're welcome. The cat meowed twice and turned his towards him, but after getting close to Guyao and barking twice, he honestly went ahead to explore the road, which made Tian Firong and the little fat man happy, and the cat gave it to him. They were a surprise. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 222. Not long after, an angry scolding came from below, You bastard! The sound went away quickly, accompanied by the wind. After a while, the cat cub jumped out from below and grinned at Guyao and the others. Needless to say, the cat cub shot at Difeng just now and beat him down. The bad animal cursed in his mouth is the cat, so he made him unhappy and came back for comfort. Guyao appeased it for a while and then became alive again, wandering around, but Qi Changjai didn't relax his guard. As a late Jindan cultivator, Difeng's survival rate here is much higher than others, so he must have his own way to save his life. But it's better to get him down first, so as not to deliberately create some disgusting things to cause trouble for them. On the first day, I have to climb the cliff and pass through it, because the further down the wind, the stronger the restraint on the spiritual power, and finally relying on the power of the body to climb, and there will be small particles in the space inside the cliff. A tornado, they saw with their own eyes. A monk was caught in the tornado. Fortunately, the defense measures were appropriate, and he was tied with a rope of steel rope, and his companions tried to pull him out, but the vestment on his body was not. It was torn into strips by the tornado, and there were also scars on the exposed skin. Fortunately, the first day was not without harvest. There were some strange plants growing on the rock walls of the cliff. The more plants were collected, the more valuable they were. Everything they encountered was picked by them. A big handful that I picked up from where I wandered. Resting on the way, one by one feels incredible. I didn't expect that I would still feel sore after practicing. In the past, it was all fatigue caused by exhaustion of spiritual power and exhaustion of consciousness. Yes, obviously the spiritual power in the Danshan is still very abundant, but I just can't use it, and my arm is sore when I climb. Qi Changjai also found it interesting. He said, maybe this will help us to temper our bodies. I think there should be a body refining cultivator staying here. He could still feel a few cultivators in the crowd before. Rich people, I think those monks are not specializing in body training but also attach great importance to physical training. It's true to say that, haha, I hope I didn't suffer in vain, Tianfirong said with joy. When they were resting, they took out an elixir called Yujing Dan purchased in Hefeng town. Most of the ingredients of this elixir came from Hefenja. It quickly spread to every corner of the body, and the sore and tired feeling on the body was gradually disappearing. The four of them came here for Lillian, so they simply regarded such a place as a test site. With the cat cub's warning, they boldly tossed around on this mountain wall, and stopped taking Yujing pill when they were very tired. The advantage is that it is very obvious that when they also encountered a tornado, the wind was obviously much stronger than what they had seen before, but Chi Changjai only used a dagger to stabilize his body, and let the wind be stronger. Chiang didn't take him away, and even pulled the three of Guyao back. Compared to the cultivator who had been drenched all over by the tornado before, the situation of the three of Guyao was much better. At the end of the second day, they could hardly meet other monks, because the further down they went, the fewer monks they could reach, and the stronger the black wind below. No one knew where the black wind was blowing from. When they came out, no one could probe the bottom of the black wind cliff. Brother, yeah, let's find a place to rest and explore tomorrow. Guyao was sweating on his forehead, his face flushed and tired. Well, it's time to take a break. Chi Changjai didn't forget that there was an enemy hidden in the darkness, so he didn't continue even if he had the energy left. I'll find a place. Sometimes they can come across a rock crevice on the mountain wall, and the rock crevice can accommodate a few people. This is the best place to rest in Hefeng Cliff. Don't worry about falling down. This is exactly what Chi Changjai is looking for. In this place, it is not easy to chisel it out by yourself. The stones here are extremely hard. Chi Changjai searched for the four of them. Guyao glanced back, suddenly widened his eyes and said in astonishment, "No, there is a tornado behind, leave." The tornado that was brewing was stronger than the tasks they encountered before, and it could be seen just by looking at the eye of the storm, so Guyao hurriedly urged. No one doubted what Guyao said, and did not even look back. Look, as soon as Guyao's words came out, several people immediately evacuated well-trained, and a rope tied the four of them together. Chi Changjai's movements were the fastest, so after a while he dragged the other three people to climb quickly. Unable to keep up with his speed, the skin on his hands was scratched by stones, but at this moment no one could care, because the wind behind him was right. Pulling them desperately, trying to drag them into the eyes of the storm, the wind was so strong that the skin on his hands was deformed, not to mention the hair on his head. "Cub," Guyao shouted in his head. Meow, the cat cub jumped out of nowhere and fought against the storm. The pressure on several people was slightly reduced, but it was not a time to take it lightly. In the gap that the cat had won, Chi Changjai finally saw there was a crack in the stone, and the four of them rolled into the crack. The cat cub finally followed in. The tornado was so powerful that even it couldn't bear it, and it would be injured if it got involved. But it followed up and found that its owner and several other people, Gilialo, kept rolling down. They accidentally broke into a crack. The depth of the crack could not be measured visually, and such a crack is not in Hefeng Cliff. It is common, but if one appears, it will definitely cause a sensation, because the legendary place where the nascent soul sits and transforms is likely to appear in such a place. Guyao slammed into a hug before he stopped. The person holding him made a muffled sound. The impact was obviously not small, and Tianfirong and the little fat man behind him collided one after another. Guyao did not groan or groan. One sound. Everyone bumped into the ground without thinking, and some of them couldn't react. The cat cub jumped on Guyao's head and meowed, telling Guyao how hard it was. "Don't be noisy, let's see where we are now." Guyao grabbed the cat and made it quiet for a while, took out a luminous stone, and illuminated the surrounding environment, but immediately saw that Chi Changjai's face was not very good. "Brother Ye, how are you? Are you injured?" The light made Guyao see clearly that it was a raised stone pillar behind Chi Changjai. He hurriedly wanted to check the situation behind him. Chi Changjai struggled to get up with Guyao's strength, waved his hand and said, "It's okay, maybe it's a bit rubbish. It's okay to hurt." However, Guyao insisted on looking at it. In fact, there is no need to take off the clothes, because the vestments behind him have been torn apart and mixed with the blood flowing out, making Guyao feel a little uncomfortable, and took out the wound medicine. "Help him put it on, let him take a healing medicine pill, and put on a new piece of clothes." Tianfirong and Little Fatty stood together with each other's arms. They looked at each other, but they were not too slow. They felt that the relationship between the two in front of them had made great progress. Fire. The trauma medicine was purchased in Hefeng town. It has a miraculous effect on the treatment of this kind of wound. After a while, I felt itchy scars on my back fall off. "Go, let's see where this place is. Be careful." "Don't worry, Brother Chi, we will be careful," Tianfirong and Fatty said hurriedly. Chi Changjai was still walking at the front, holding Yingxi with one hand and Guyao with the other. The cracks they accidentally fell into are wider than the stone cracks they encountered before, as if they were formed naturally, or someone with great power split the mountain in half. Although the spiritual power in the body is affected by the environment here, it is still bound in Danshan, but there will be no tornadoes like the outside world, so the situation is much better than outside. There are many strange plants growing on both sides of the crack. Some years are very long. Obviously, no one has come in to collect for many years. The four stopped from time to time to collect. "Wait, here is a black jew flower, I'll go pick it up." Guyao saw a black peanut on the stone wall, and said with joy, "This kind of plant needs a lot of years to develop. This kind of black jew flower can refine a kind of medicine pill that is helpful to the soul." Guyao took out the jade box and walked over. As soon as his hand touched the black juihua, the cat cub behind him suddenly let out a shrill scream. Chi Changjai quickly rushed over, hugged Guyao and rolled away. When he looked back, he saw something was caught on the cub's paw. Before, they didn't even realize it, not to mention Tianfirong and Little Fatty. Chi Changjai was terrified. Guyao only felt cold sweat on his back, and quickly got up and saw something on Katzizi's paw. That thing was still twisting desperately, trying to escape. "What is this thing? I didn't even notice it with my consciousness." Divine consciousness is limited like spiritual power, but it can still be used, but the scope is much narrowed. Guyao has a special feature in spiritual consciousness, and he has been letting go of his spiritual consciousness to pay attention to the situation around him, but he has not noticed it. To just danger. Chi Changjai went over with his hand, raised his hand and dropped the knife. The writhing and struggling thing stopped moving, but a blue liquid flowed from the broken body. Seeing this, Guyao quickly walked over to collect the liquid, but it was only a matter of time. It was still a waste of time, and the ones that touched the ground quickly penetrated into the stones, and there was no way to extract them. "What is this?" Little Fatty and the others also came over curiously. "This is the dragon worm. The blue liquid is the blood of the dragon worm." Chi Changjai also remembered at this time, but because it is not alchemy, and because this thing is rare, the reaction is not as fast as Guyao. "That's right, it's the dragon worm and the dragon's blood. I just didn't expect the dragon's worm to live in such a place. This kind of dragon's blood can be used to refine a special medicine." Guyao was pleasantly surprised. It was not a small risk, but the benefits were great. He quickly called Su Chen in the space and told him about the blood of Longa. This is the record he saw in the book on the third floor of the Pill Pavilion when he entered Jindan, otherwise he would not recognize it when he saw it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 223. Is there a dragon worm here? Su Chen hurriedly looked outside when he heard it. After Zi Bao Bao was in the space, he didn't care about Guyao, but now the dragon worm has attracted him. Are you sure? Dragon worms. When Guyao heard his doubts, he sent the vial of Long Ge blood into the space for him to see, and at the same time picked up the corpse that was broken in two. This Long Ge worm is very interesting. He said it was a worm, but it was actually a worm. A kind of creature between the plant and the head, because the two horns on the head are shaped like dragon horns, and the word dragon is in the name, but the body is like the old bark, usually rooted in soil or stones, but it can also leave the soil to hunt food. Yeah, it's really long Gex you. You're lucky boy. You've come across such a good thing. I've rarely seen it before, so hurry up and get some more. There must be a lot more if you come across one, Su Chen said excitedly. Generally speaking, dragon worms live in groups, and there is a vine. Guyao ignored Su Chen in the space, and of course he would not let it go when he encountered it. At this time, the little fat people outside also asked, "What is the dragon worm? Does the dragon blood have any special effects?" Guyao talked about the growth characteristics of the dragon worm, and then said, "Long Ge blood is the main medicine for refining the elixir, and I don't need to say how important it is." Tian Firong and the little fat man were shocked immediately, and then they showed a mad look. No. Know too well. They are more aware of how rare it is in the outside world. For example, on the Tianlin continent, only in some secret realms and ancient relics do they find the existence of limbs, and most of them are waste pills that have lost their efficacy. A fight with monks. Limb renewing pill, as the name suggests, can make broken limbs grow again. The importance of limbs to monks is self-evident, and it is not so easy to want to regenerate, and having a renewing limb pill is equal to more alive. Then there must be these dragon worms. Let's find them quickly, but isn't it very troublesome? If it wasn't for the cubs, I would have been attacked by this thing, Tian Firong said with some fear, but he was not continued. Li Dan completely blinded his eyes. Guyao knew the danger, but he didn't want to let go of the dragon worm. He recalled what he read in the book, as well as the ordinary things that Su Chen was on the scene for him, and told Qi Changjai how to track the dragon worm, and then the four of them chased the dragon together. The whereabouts of the kudzu. On the road, Guyao also popularized it for them. The blood of dragon geese contains a very strong vitality, so the medicinal pills refined from it as the main medicine have such miraculous effects, but when the origin of the dragon Ge worm is not clear, it is also easy to encounter trouble. That is, the dragon worm will use the monk's body with strong qi and blood as its growth base, and it also depends on the monk's flesh to grow and reproduce. Tian Firong and the little fat man shuddered when they heard it. The human cultivators looked at the peculiar effects of the dragon's blood, and the dragon worms also looked at the flesh and blood of the human cultivators, and they didn't know which one was more terrifying. Live their determination to find dragon worms. Qi Changjai pops out a kind of powder with his hands while walking. It was made by Guyao on the spot. As long as there is a place where the dragon worm crawls, it will immediately show traces. Coincidentally, there are a few that match this kind of powder. Flavor crops are special products in Hefeng Cliff, which makes people have to doubt the connection between Hefeng in Hefeng Cliff and dragon worm. At the same time, Guyao is still preparing another medicine to catch the dragon worm, all of which appear in the classics on the third floor of the Pill Pavilion, which makes people wonder if the person who left these records has also come here. In places like Hefeng Cliff, such as Qi Changjai, he has never heard of such a thing that can restrain the dragon worm. Have it. A faint light blue fluorescent light appeared on the ground where the powder was sprinkled in front of it, which was the result of the excrement of the dragon worm meeting the powder hashtag. The other medicine in Guyao's hand was also prepared, and he distributed it to everyone, reminding, If you find a dragon kudzu, sprinkle it out, and if you touch this powder, the dragon kudzu will lose the ability to move. The kudzu only relies on smell to distinguish, and there is no such thing as hearing and vision, so it can't be regarded as a real worm. The further forward, the wider the space, the more light blue fluorescent light on the ground, and the four of them raised their guard. Chi-Chang-Jai's ears moved, and he said it immediately, "Spill it out." The four of them formed a circle back to back, and the powder in their hands suddenly spilled out in different directions. They heard a lot of falling sounds. They spilled the powder in their hands for most of the time before they stopped, and they saw the ground fall. Guyao was very excited about the strangely shaped bugs that fell, and Su Chen in the space was not much better than him, even if this limb extension pill was useless to him who only smashed his soul body. Guyao hurriedly took out several jade bottles and threw them to his companions. "Quick, you must collect the blood of Long Ge immediately, otherwise it will lose its effectiveness." So Chi-Chang-Jai was left on guard, and the three of Guyao immediately harvested the lives of these dragon worms. There are hundreds of dragon worms here, and it is no wonder that even Su Chen was very excited. Holding several bottles of Long Ge blood, Guyao was satisfied. It was enough to make hundreds of limb supplement pills, and when his excitement gradually calmed down, Guyao made a decision. He took a deep breath and said, "Let's go." Well, there is a lot of blood in these dragons, and the continuation of the limbs is not suitable for a large number of them. He boldly guessed that the dragon worm lives in such a place, which is related to the environment of Hefeng Cliff. There may also be some important treasures in it to give birth to these dragon worms. The treasure must be more precious than the dragon worm, but once the treasure is taken away, maybe the dragon worm is about to break its roots here. After thinking about it, Guyao still tried his best to restrain his greed, and forcefully pulled back the foot he was about to step on. Even if the blood of the dragons was used up, as long as he didn't stop rooting, he would be able to come back and get some more. Chi-Chang-Jai smiled and said, "Okay." Although Tian Firong and Little Fatty have some regrets, they always rely on the opinions of Chi-Chang-Jai and Guyao. Alchemy, and Guyao's refining will not be missing their limbs, so there is no need to continue. So the four of them turned around together, and did not go further into this long and narrow mountain crevice. However, Chi-Chang-Jai took a few steps and looked back. For some reason, he had an intuition that if he continued to go deeper, it might be detrimental to them. It seemed that there was an existence that was enough to threaten him, although it was just a kind of illusory inability. He captured the intuition without finding any clues, but he still followed his intuition, and it was not easy to stay here too much. Getting closer and closer to the entrance, the four of them were in a good mood, and they were talking and laughing. The cat was also actively stepping on Guyao's shoulders. Suddenly, the cat's whole body exploded. At the same time, Chi-Chang-Jai taking a step forward, he blocked Guyao and the three behind him, and a purple light jumped out from in front of him, hitting the entrance. Boom, the gravel splashed, the black wind raged, and accompanied by a muffled sound, a shadow quickly evacuated. Guyao took a quick shot of the Dao Spirit Talisman, and put up a protective cover to resist the flying stones and the black wind. The Spirit Talisman was activated by divine sense, and the effect it exerted in such a place was incomparable to the outside world, but it did play some role. It took a while to calm down, but the black wind outside became a lot manic because of this movement, and it seemed that a violent storm could be brewing at any time. It's another good thing that the lingering guy from Tailuiman did. He's actually stalking us secretly, Tian Firong said angrily. A purple thunder dragon flew back again, and the others also realized what the purple light was after Chi-Chang-Jai shot. It is said that this place has great restrictions on spiritual power, but sword chi is not purely composed of spiritual power, so it was this loophole that Chi-Chang-Jai took advantage of. He didn't make a move when he met Difeng for the first time before, which was to make the opponent feel contemptuous. When the opponent made another move, it was Chi-Chang-Jai's counterattack. Get rid of him, but also seriously injure him. Qi Changjai also knows that Difeng should be more familiar with the ring block of Heffenja, and may even have items such as magic tools that can use spiritual power here for a short time. After all, this ring block has existed for a long time. After many years, it may not be impossible to research related items, or it is some life-saving thing left by Yuan Ying. The purple thunder dragon got into Qi Changjai's body again, and Qi Changjai's face was still pale. In the end, he still needed to forcefully use some spiritual power, so it was a lot of consumption at this moment, but his current situation was even worse. Qi Changjai sneered and said, "This guy surnamed D is probably too confident, so he leaks a little murderous aura, which may be difficult for others to detect, but I am a famous swordsman. He is especially sensitive to murderous aura, which is also the reason why cat cubs also blow their hair. The reason, it also found out, but the reaction is one beat slower than Qi Changjai, and it has not had time to attack. Is he injured? Can we find him now?" The little fat man felt that this guy was really hateful. Guyao frowned. After a while, the cat cub came back and meowed at Guyao. Guyao sighed, touched its head, and said to the others, "It's useless, the cub didn't find him. The trace, it seems that some method was used to get through." Damn, Tianfirong and the little fat man cursed together. Qi Changjai's eyes flashed with chills. As long as he had the chance, he would never let this guy go. On the top of Hefeng Cliff, Difeng's figure suddenly appeared. With one hand on his chest, he spat out a mouthful of blood with a wow. A mad look flashed in his eyes. Dare to hurt him? Very good, he will let these guys know how powerful he is. Originally, he just wanted to play with these foreign monks, but now he has become serious. Who let that guy hurt him? Difeng looked back at the gradually churning Hefeng in Hefeng Cliff. He turned his head and left without hesitation. If the sword qi raging in his body was not eliminated, it would cause him great harm, so he stayed longer. Those four guys live for a while, and when the problem is solved, he will definitely come and collect the account in person. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 224. As soon as 10 days passed, the four Guyao returned to the cliff, and the cultivator Luchin, who reminded them of Difeng's identity, rescued him from the eye of the storm. Luchin came back with them. I am very grateful to Guyao and his party. There were obviously fewer people who came back than those who went down. Almost all those who didn't come back died in the Black Wind Cliff. Guyao and the others didn't know if they had a chance to survive if they were in that long and narrow mountain crevice. None of the four of them wanted to personally test this possibility. The four of them went back to the inn for a rest. Because Luchin was abandoned by his companions, he moved here to live with them. Knowing that Guyao and the others came here for the first time, he gave them a lot of useful common sense. How did you get into trouble with Difeng? After getting acquainted with him, Luchin asked about it with concern. Ghost to see worry? This name is quite appropriate. Tianfirong and Luchin dealt with it very well, and there is no need to hide this matter from others, so he said, where did we recruit it ourselves? This kind of person is unreasonable at all. The thing is, we stayed in Jianjiun city for a while. Tianfirong recounted the grievances between the four of them and the Mu family. The only one who had an enemy with them was Muan. In addition, Muan and Difeng belonged to the Taluiman, so they could guess without evidence. Difeng was why did they come, and Tianfirong also told them that they were attacked by Difeng at the bottom of the cliff. Luchin did not expect that the four of them would come out in good condition, and couldn't help but admire them. Those who were targeted by Difeng could fight back. It can be said that very few, otherwise, where did Difeng's reputation of ghosts and sorrows come from? I've heard about the Taoist friend Muan from Taluiman who has just completed the pill. I didn't expect him to be such a person. He is a gentleman on the surface, but he is colluding with people like Difeng behind his back. It's really disgusting, Luchin expressed his indignation. After Guyao and the others came back from Hefeng Cliff, they clearly noticed the changes in their bodies, which could have the effect of refining the body. They were aware of it when they were at the bottom of the cliff. At the same time, there was another benefit, that is, the spiritual power in their bodies. It has also been tempered and become more refined. This surprised them, and at the same time they were very curious about what the strange energy in the black wind was. After infiltrating the human body, it did not leave any bad effects on the monks. On the contrary, it could refine and purify the spiritual power, which was better than their own. The penance was fast and efficient. Even if I ask Su Chen, he didn't understand that there are many strange places in the world of self-cultivation, and even the great supernatural powers may not be able to grasp all of them. In any case, this is a good thing for them, especially when there is a scheming Difeng outside. The four simply stay in Hefeng town for a while. The time interval for the weakening of the black wind is very regular, and there is a 10-day weakening period every 1 month, so the four people used this month to consolidate the income of the black wind cliff. Continue down the black wind cliff. In this way, they not only felt that the spiritual power in their bodies was becoming more and more pure and condensed, but also clearly felt the rise of spiritual power. The most worth mentioning is that the bottom of the cliff restricted the use of spiritual power, but it became a long-term exercise. An excellent place for his swordsmanship, steadily progressing towards the next stage. Also because of Qi Changjai's improvement in swordsmanship, the extremely dangerous black wind cliff bottom has become much safer for them. If they encounter Difeng again, Qi Changjai can guarantee that he will never come back, but only half a year has passed, and they will also he didn't meet Difeng again, and he was nowhere to be seen in Hefeng town. In the past 6 months, Guyao has also made a name for himself in Hefeng town. He spent some spirit stones to buy special pills such as Yujing pill, and then refined the pills and sold them privately. It was sold by Tian Firong and Little Fatty to the monks in need, and it was very popular among the monks, without him, just because the medicinal pills refined by Guyao were of better quality than those in those shops. The owners behind those shops are very resentful about Guyao, who is stealing their business, but it is not only Guyao who has gained fame, but also the sword cultivator Qi Changjai. Their performance at the bottom of the cliff was witnessed by more than one person, so he wanted to trouble Guyao. Yes, they had to pass the stage of Qi Changjai first. When those people learned that Difeng wanted to deal with these 4 people, they were expecting Difeng to take action quickly. While looking forward to Difeng's action, they were also investigating the origins of these 4 people. Because Guyao and the others never concealed their identities and where they came from, it was easy to find out about Zhongyunchinj and the very sensational auction in Zhongyunchinj, which made those shops the owner behind him wiped his sweat happily, but fortunately he hadn't dealt with them yet. I didn't expect this Yao Dan master to be so good at alchemy. Not having a special store in Hefeng town to sell elixirs would give them a lot of face. Otherwise, with his alchemy skills, as long as he buys raw materials and sells elixirs in large quantities, these shops are the medicinal pills still available for sale? Looking at their actions in Jianjian city, it is obvious that Hefeng town will not be their long-term place to stay, so it is better to turn a blind eye to their behavior of selling medicine pills, and they will not stay here forever. Not their future business. After half a year, Guyao and the others decided to leave Hefeng town, so the environment under Hefeng cliff became less and less helpful to their improvement. Another important reason was that it was known that Guyao was in Hefeng town. Above, some cultivators came to him specifically to ask for pills and turned them all away. It is unrealistic, and it is impossible to respond to requests. It will delay his cultivation time. Guyao has been busy with cultivation. I can study his alchemy well. Another flying instrument came to Hefeng town. The passers-by and resident monks in the town took a look and then looked back. Needless to say, they went to Yao Danji's residence to ask for pills. At first, they were still interested in watching, but they got used to it after a long time. Now, what to do or what to do? Of course, there is still envy. Which of those pill seekers did not come with a generous gift, and the harvest of spiritual stones alone will not be small? Some people say that Difeng will stare at these 4 people, maybe it is for the spirits in their hands. She went, just the alchemy seekers who came and went during this time allowed them to guess how rich Gu Yao's net worth was. Hearing the movement outside, Lu Qin came out and saw the cultivators in front of him and said, "You are asking to see Alchemist Yao, right? I'll help you to see if Alchemist Yao is free." Usually, Alchemist Yao is mostly in retreat. The diligence of these 4 people's hard-working cultivation makes Lu Qin admire them. They are clearly outstanding among their peers, but they are not arrogant, and they have not let up for a moment. A lot of hard work, I have to say that the progress is still quite big. Yu Lao, this fellow Taoist, help us spread the word, we are from. One of them took a step forward and said politely, Lu Qin. Lu Qin nodded, then stretched out his hand and pushed it. The door of the yard where Gu Yao and the others were rented was pushed open. After entering, Lu Qin realized that something was wrong. The restrictions on the formations arranged in the past disappeared, and he quickly walked to the main hall. There it is, refreshing and refreshing, leaving only a letter and a jade bottle on the bookcase. Lu Qin was taken aback. He opened the letter first, and it seemed that he had a hunch when the ban on the outside disappeared. These people were afraid that they would leave without saying goodbye. The content of the letter was as expected. The monks disturbed their tranquility, and the environment of Hefenja didn't help them much, so they decided to leave here to look for opportunities elsewhere. See you in the future, and leave a bottle of elixir for Lu Qin. Helped. During this period of time, Lu Qin got along with Tian Firong and the others quite happily, and he could exchange the medicine pills needed for cultivation nearby. Now that they left suddenly, Lu Qin was inevitably a little disappointed and uncomfortable, but he knew that this was normal for a cultivator. Alchemist Yao and the 4 met by chance. If it hadn't been for a momentary kindness at Hefenja to remind them to be careful of Difeng, they wouldn't have gotten along for half a year. Lu Qin put away the pills, took the letter and walked out, telling the visitor that the 4 of Gu Yao had left Hefeng town. As long as he released his spiritual sense, he would know that there was no one in the yard, so there was no Lu Qin deception in their situation. This line of monks had to leave with regret. The news spread quickly, and the merchants in the town finally breathed a sigh of relief, but most of them were regretful, because the quality of the medicinal pills they were selling was much higher than the ones in the store. Some people are fortunate that they have just stocked up some, but they have not said anything to the outside world. These medicinal pills have to be used sparingly. Outsiders will not sell them no matter how high the price is. Those who have not had time to buy them regret it. The 4 of Gu Yao are already on the flying instrument far away from Hefeng town, and this instrument has also been replaced. The previous characteristics are too obvious, it is easy for people to find it, and it is necessary to prevent it from hiding in the dark. Difeng, who is not sure where he is, just because of Difeng's temperament, no one would believe that he would give up just like that, but the fact that he injured him late in the night was enough to make him take revenge. Gu Yao came out of the cabin, Qi Changjai and the 3 of them were looking at the landscape and studying the map outside, and Gu Yao shared a bottle of medicinal pills by himself. Tian Firong opened it and was pleasantly surprised. Was it a limb supplement pill? There are 2 round milky white medicine pills in the jade bottle, which look different from other medicine pills. Yes, it's finally refined, 2 pills for each person, one for self-defense, and one for defense but not prepared. Please keep it. Although he still has it, it's hard to guarantee that the 4 of them won't spread out, so some life-saving medicine pills will be stored on the 4 of them. Thank you. Tian Firong and Little Fatty happily put it away without refusing. This thing is not much different from the life-saving pill. If it lacks arms and legs, it will have a great impact on combat effectiveness. The most terrible thing is that it will affect the future. practice. Chi Changjai also accepted it without saying a word. They left Hefeng town because they didn't want the breath of this medicinal pill to leak out, so it was all refined by Guyao on the flying instrument. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 225. The appearance of Guyao's flying instrument is also extremely ordinary, but after getting this instrument, Chi Changjai modified it, mainly to increase its flying speed, and the results of the transformation are quite remarkable. After half a month, they arrived a city with a strong commercial atmosphere, Beihe City. When I was in Hefeng town, I heard Lu Qin talk about this city. Beihe City is most famous for its scenery. Beihe City is named because of the rivers and lakes here. The place where the monks live seems to be located in the lake. Just like the small islands in the lake, when the sun just rose, the fog on the lake was thick, with exotic flowers and trees, and the spirit birds flying on the lake. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is a fairyland on earth. Another feature of Beihe City is that there is no tall city wall, so you can see the beautiful scenery of the city before you reach the city. It was caused by natural factors and the artificial transformation of the occupants later, which made the scenery here more perfect, attracting many monks who came and went to stop here, and the business of Beihe City came from this. Extraordinarily prosperous. I heard that Beihe City is so prosperous, and there is another important reason, that is, there are cultivators of nascent soul who are sitting here, so no cultivators dare to disrupt the environment and order here. This is what Tian Furong got from Lu Qin. Information, but it also caused the consumption here to be much higher than elsewhere, and the average loose cultivator couldn't afford it. Tian Furong still remembered that Lu Qin had a longing look in regret when he told him. Lu Qin stayed here for a short time, but soon left empty-handed, which is still regrettable to this day. The outside of Beihe City is surrounded by a silver chain. It is a very wide river that acts as a city wall. All monks who come to Beihe City, unless the nascent soul is powerful, must enter Beihe City from this river. The four who knew the rules naturally wouldn't rashly force their way. After collecting the flying instruments, they landed on the side of the river around the city. Standing on the bank, they could clearly see the dark shadows in the river. It was domesticated in the river around the city. A kind of piranha, very ferocious. There was no bridge on the river, but soon a monk came over with a big blue-black fish with a wide back and greeted them with a smile. 4 of you want to enter the city? Please come on the back of the batfish, everyone only needs 10 spirit stones. Yes, the boat must be paid first. Tian Furong took out 40 spirit stones and handed them to him, and then jumped on the back of the fish with a smile. The back of the fish is enough to carry 100 people. It is the only fish that lives underwater except for piranhas. It is naturally huge, but it is very difficult to advance. I don't know which ancestor introduced this kind of batfish here. The batfish traveled quickly and steadily on the river fish, and did not feel a little ups and downs, and soon reached the other side of the river. The 4 of them went ashore and thanked the monk. The shore is the outer city of Beihe City, so there are not many pedestrians and cultivators, but soon a teenage boy came running over and asked himself, is it the first time for the 4 seniors to come to our Beihe City? A guide. A small one can serve 4 seniors for a day with only 10 spiritual stones. The young cultivator is only in the late stage of chi refining, and of course it is not easy to see in such a place, but if it is on the Tianlin continent, it can be ranked among the geniuses. His eyes were round, and he had some baby fat on, which looked very pleasing, so Tian Furong decided to use him and paid for 10 spirit stones. Take us to the inner city, this is our first time. Come, but don't fool us. The boy's smile suddenly became more pleasing, his attitude was attentive but not annoying, and he had a very good sense of proportion. It is very easy to enter the inner city with the spiritual stone to open the way. The choice is nothing but water or land. This time Guyao and the others chose the land route. Anyway, When they saw the scenery here, they planned to stay here for a while longer. There will be opportunities to make other attempts in the future. It has been more than a year since they came to Kinhao continent, and they have hardly stopped their high-intensity cultivation in the past year or so. They need to combine work and rest, so they plan to relax here for a while, and enjoy the scenery by swimming around the lake. There is no better way to unwind than to savor the food here. The four of them are Jindan cultivators, so it is quite easy to enter the inner city. The young guide is a local resident and lives in the outer city. The consumption of the inner city is really high, but after paying the entrance fee, you can still enter the inner city. The entrance fee was paid by Guyao and the others for him, otherwise the guide fee for the 10 spirit stones would not be enough for him. The boy said, "This is the first small island in the lake in the inner city. It is a relatively large area. The 4 seniors can choose to live in the inn here. There is another way, which many monks like, and that is to choose to rent a lake. Small and medium-sized islands tend to have higher rents, but I believe this is not difficult for the 4 seniors." The 4 of them glanced at each other, and sure enough, their eyes were full of emotion. The young man was even more happy when he saw it. If he brought guests over, he could get a big commission for him. Guyao made a decision, "Then take us to the place where the island is rented, and we will rent it if we like it." Okay. The young guide took them to the center of the island in the lake. This is a management agency. Of course, the ownership of the island belongs to the city lord's mansion where the nascent soul power is located, and of course there are other forces or individuals. Private islands, outsiders are not allowed to set foot on such private islands if they are not invited by insiders. The young man respectfully invited them to go in first. The steward inside saw the 4 people who came in and the golden core aura emanating from them. His eyes lit up and immediately greeted them, while the 4 Guyao and the others shrank when they saw the steward, because the steward is actually a Jindan cultivator. It can be seen that the city lord's mansion here is very strong, and it is no wonder that he has been following this place all the time. The cultivators who come here are honest and obey the rules. What are the needs of the 4 fellow deists? Please feel free to speak up. This place belongs to the Behi City Lord's mansion, and we will do our best to satisfy everyone. The needs of a monk who came to Behi City, said the steward enthusiastically, once again giving the impression that he was a businessman rather than a Jindan cultivator. Our guide told us that there are islands for rent here. Can you introduce us? Tianfirong politely asked. Say. Please come with me. The smile in the steward's eyes was even stronger, but anyone who can rent the island is a big customer, and they have to make a deal, so he looked at the young guide who brought Guyao and the others in. The eyes are also much softer. The steward took Guyao and the others into an exhibition hall. There was a huge jade wall in the exhibition hall. As soon as they entered Guyao, they were shocked by the jade wall, because what appeared on the jade wall was the panoramic miniature of Behi City. There are more than 200 islands in the lake, large and small, which shows how big the entire Behi City is. According to Gaiao's estimation, it will not be smaller than a planet in the interstellar world. There was the largest island on it. The young guide told Guyao and the 4 that it was the location of the city lord's mansion. The steward smiled and did not interrupt the young man. Guyao and the others saw that the largest island was located in the center of Behi City. It looks like 3 spheres are spliced together, and the steward told them that it is exactly the same. The most crowded place in the city. Guyao and the others decided to go to this central island to take a look. Next, on the other islands, those with green light spots indicate that they have the owner, and the remaining red light spots indicate that they are in the process of renting and selling, and they are in charge. He also told them that if they wanted to see the specific situation of the island, they could use their divine sense to penetrate in, and then they could see a bird's eye view of the place. There are only 20 small islands left that have not been rented and sold, so it doesn't take too long to see each of them, so the 4 of them picked them up one by one. In the end, the four of them agreed and chose the one with the best view, and the area is not too big. The island, there is also a floating waterfall on the island, that is, the waterfall is moved into the air by the power of the formation, poured down from the air, and the cycle is endless. As long as the formation does not stop, the waterfall will not stop flowing. After deciding on the place, Chi Chang-ji flipped over the storage ring, and said to the steward without changing his face, "Can we find a separate place to sit down and talk?" The steward still smiled warmly, "Yes, the four fellow deists, please come with me." In fact, he has seen a lot of this situation. Not all cultivators carry a lot of spirit stones on their bodies when they walk out, so when paying bills, they often use other materials on their bodies to convert them into spirit stones, and this steward, it is a veteran who is good at identification. So the steward led them to the next room, the young guide stayed outside, and the maid served the good spirit tea and fruit. The steward said that these were the specialties of the city. Gu Yao drank the spirit tea, and his mouth was full of raw food. Fragrant, really good. "What's the price of renting for a year?" Chi Chang-ji asked bluntly. The steward smiled and stretched out a finger, 10,000 mid-grade spirit stones a year. This price must not be considered high for alchemist Yao, right? The other party directly pointed out Gu Yao and their identities, and the four of them did not show much shock. The well-informed people will naturally know their situation in Jianjian City and Hefeng Town. The most important thing is the value of Gu Yao himself. It is very likely that he is an intermediate level 7 rank alchemist now, and the quality of Chinsui Dan and elixirs are definitely outstanding among alchemists of the same rank. After such an alchemist knows about it, it is possible that they will not pay close attention. If they had just come to Qinhao continent, this value would definitely make Tianfirong and the little fat man spray tea. On the island, you can only stay in the inn in the outer city or this island at the foot of the current. But at the moment, they can't get such a spirit stone on them, and the aura conditions in Hefeng Town are quite poor, so all the middle grade spirit stones on them are used for cultivation, and there are not many left. "I'm so shy, can I use the medicinal pill to offset the bill?" Gu Yao said embarrassedly. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 226. The steward laughed loudly. In his eyes, perhaps this Yao alchemist was too young. Compared with other well-known alchemists, he did not have much arrogance as an alchemist, and seemed more approachable. There are also few famous alchemists who can't come up with a large amount of spirit stones, but compared to spirit stones, monks in their position actually prefer pills. Spirit stones can always find a way to get them, or it is said that there is no shortage at all, but sometimes good medicinal herbs are expensive and unmarketable. Alchemy Yao may not know how popular your medicinal pills are outside. Alchemy Yao is willing to pay the bills with medicinal pills, which is beyond our expectation. Tianfirong and Little Fatty saw that the steward had their eyes fixed on Gu Yao's storage ring, and twitched the corners of their mouths, feeling that they would suffer. Gu Yao also felt the enthusiasm of the steward, and was a little speechless. Hearing Chi Chang-ji's voice transmission, he moved in his heart and took out a jade bottle. Originally, their plan was the same as in Jianjian City, to find an auction house to bid for some medicinal pills to raise spirit stones, but after they settled down, they made a few pots of pills, and there were not many medicinal pills that they could sell. Cleared a lot. The steward didn't underestimate the jade bottle, but took it and opened it carefully and took a look. This glance made him look shocked. There were only 2 pills in it, but they were 2 top-grade Tianyuan pills. Of course, he knew that Gu Yao's auctions in Jianjian City were all high-grade Tianyuan pills. He thought that Gu Yao could refine this sample-level medicinal pill at his age, and his talent in pill techniques was outstanding. However, high-grade Tianyuan pills were not the limit of Gu Yao at all. The value of these two top-grade pills is very high. If they were auctioned at the auction, the amount of spirit stones sold would definitely exceed 10,000. Although he doesn't need it, witch cultivator has no descendants and clansmen. If there is no more, I will accept 1 or 2 apprentices. When forming a pill, I use such a top-quality pill. Unless I can't beat the calamity, it is very difficult for me to be unable to form a pill. The steward said happily, in this way, this Mingkong island belongs to the 4 fellow Taoists. Alchemy Yao will wait a moment. The steward took out a token and 3 blank jade tablets directly from the storage ring. He pinched a few spiritual tricks, copied the formation in the token to the blank jade token, and placed them in front of Gu Yao after completion. With these few tokens, you can freely enter and leave Mingkong Island. Without the permission of the 4 fellow deists, outsiders, including the following, will not be able to enter Mingkong Island this year. It can be entrusted to Qianfeng Pavilion, which also belongs to the lineage of the City Lord's mansion. Okay, definitely. Gu Yao put away the 4 tokens and gave the steward a reassuring answer. Since he lives here, it's always right to have a good relationship with the owner. After the negotiation, the 5 people came out of the room, and the young guide was still waiting outside. As soon as they saw Gu Yao and the others, they immediately gave a lovable smile. Gu Yao gave him some spirit stones and told him to go back. Little boy, although a little disappointed, this business has made him a lot of money, and these guests are quite generous. At this time, he still didn't know who the people he received were, otherwise he would be even more surprised. The steward called a special escort, and used a spaceship with the unique logo of the City Lord's mansion to send the 4 to Mingkong Island. When the young man left, he was shocked to see this scene, and he realized later that he had received some big people. Otherwise, the steward will not be treated with such caution. After the steward sent the 4 of Gu Yao away, he also got on a spaceship and headed in the other direction, where the central island was located. The top-grade Tianyuan Dan was too surprising for the steward Lu. He didn't dare to think about how far Gu Yao's alchemy skills were, but it was very likely that he might already be a 7th-grade intermediate alchemist. Lu Guanqi thought about it. He could get the moon first, and ask Gu Yao to help refine a few pots of pills. Although Beihe City does not lack 7th-grade alchemists, which 7th-grade alchemist can refine the quality of pills better than Gu Yao of? No one. Maybe even a 6th-grade alchemist might not be able to compare. Thinking of this, Lu Guanqi was swayed. Of course, the most important thing at the moment is to let Jianzhij establish a relationship with Gu Yao first, but don't let other merchants take the lead. Manager Lu and Manager Qi of Qianfeng Trading Company have been friends for many years, and the relationship is very good. Of course, if it's good, I think of my brother first. When Manager Qi heard that Manager Lu was here, he put down the trivial matters in his hand and greeted him. Which gust of wind blows you? Are you here? Did you run out of medicinal pills again? I tell you, I am in short supply here, but I got a good medicinal pill from Changxianmen. It is said that it came from Changxianmen. It was researched by the disciple of the 6th-grade alchemist, and it is specifically aimed at the erysipelas that accumulates in the body after taking elixirs. Frequently. When Lu Guanqi heard the news, he forgot about Gu Yao and his eyes flickered. Really? Who is from Changxianmen? Could it be that Han Chi Han? There are 2 and 6 people in Changxianmen Pin Alchemist. The reason why I guessed it was Han Chi was because another 6th-rank alchemist had a rather eccentric temperament, and he rarely showed up over the years, let alone taught any apprentices. Could it be that his beloved apprentice was the rather peculiar one? Li Qi, who is known as a genius. Seeing Steward Qi nodding his head to prove that his guess was correct, Steward Lu looked strange at this moment. They had heard of Li Qi's name here. Like Master, he became another 6th-grade alchemist of Changxianmen. But at this moment, he thought of another genius, and thought of the 2 top-quality Tianyuan Dan in his storage ring, and suddenly felt that the aura of the other genius alchemist was much dimmed. What? Director Qi said with a smile, You still don't like alchemist Li Qi? That's a 7th grade alchemist anyway. Guanxi Lu still said strangely, Brother Qi, have you heard the name of alchemist Yao in Zhangyunchenj? Do you think alchemist Yao is better than alchemist Li? Manager Qi touched his chin and took care of the business. Of course, he was very sensitive to all kinds of news outside, and there was also the matter of Hefeng Town, so of course he didn't know anything about Yao Danqi. It's hard to say, Li Qi has a position in the end. The master of the 6th grade alchemist taught that he will enter the 6th grade pill in the future. The threshold for a teacher is also much lower than other alchemists, but this Yao alchemist seems to have appeared out of thin air, and people can't find the source. If he does not lack inheritance, the future situation is not easy to say, but if he is a nameless loose cultivator, then just. Director Qi shrugged, of course he is so talented, maybe some sect rushed into the door before that, and some 6th grade alchemists were willing to accept him as a disciple. How do you say that alchemist Yao is here? Could it be? Director Qi's eyes suddenly lit up. Could it be that alchemist Yao came to Beihe City? They are most happy to deal with such an alchemist in their business. Guanxi Lu raised his eyebrows, took out the 2 Tianyuan pills, and Guanxi Qi opened it, and his eyes brightened. In this way, the value of this Yao Danqi is too great, and he must be attracted, and the speed must be fast. However, Guanxi Lu held him back. You haven't said about the medicinal pills that Chang Xianmen got. Give me a few pills to try. Qi Guanxi has something to ask for at the moment, so he speaks very well, throwing out a jade bottle and saying, this is the spirit-quenching pill, and there are not many spirit-quenching pills that flow out of Chang Xianmen now. If there is no way, I can't figure it out either. Now many forces are begging for Chang Xianmen, and they are firmly stuck in their hands. The enshrined alchemists in our pavilion have wasted several medicinal pills trying to crack the medicinal formula, but none of them are available. Result: Lu Guanxi ate a quenching spirit pill on the spot, and carefully realized the benefits. Sure enough, the spiritual power in the body was running a little more smoothly, and it could indeed clear some erysipelas. He couldn't help but re-evaluate the value of this Li Qi. It's really Li Qi. The pill formula that came out? Isn't the Chang Xianmen going to offer him up? Manager Qi said, it's worth saying, when this quenching pill becomes famous in the whole continent, it will be time for Li Qi's reputation to spread throughout the continent. Who else is it that Li Qi made it? Dan Fang's words will not be unknown, and Chang Xianmen will let Li Qi play ghosts. Guanxi Lu was unconvinced and said, have you heard of the name of alchemist Yao before? Qi Guanxi was speechless. The 4 of Guyao had just set foot on Mingkong Island, and the waterfall was hanging upside down in the air. It was not that rare to understand the principle of the formation, but the scenery was beautiful. The slow colors that come out are praised by people. There is another reason for choosing Mingkong Island, that is, despite being a small island in a lake, it is connected to an underground fire vein, which is excellent for Guyao and Tianfirong. The 4 of them didn't live there first, but wandered around the island, familiar with every scene on the island. It was the first time for the 4 of them to live in a place with such a beautiful view. In the past, Qi Changjai only focused on cultivation, so how could they pay attention to their surroundings? Guyao has seen a lot of the scenery here, but it has a little less immortal flavor compared to this place. When the 4 of them were crowding on a pontoon to feed the ornamental spirit fish in the water, someone outside asked to see him, claiming to be the steward of Qianfeng Pavilion, whose surname was Together. It should be from you, Chang Xiaoao. It's too late. Qi Changjai's voice was filled with a hint of displeasure. Just as he was having a good time with Guyao, someone came to disturb him. Tianfirong hurriedly said, let's bring them in with little Fatty, and you can go to the living room first. So Qi Changjai took Guyao to the building on the island, and the place where he lived has only been explored with his spiritual sense, but he hasn't gone in yet. Maybe their master has not come to the door and the guests are familiar with this place, but here usually someone takes care of it, so don't worry about how much dust accumulates. After a while, Tianfirong and the little fat man brought in the steward Qi. This is the chief steward, all the business of the Prime Minister Qianfeng Pavilion, together with the steward Lu, can be said to be the trusted faction of the city lord. Before the steward Qi came in, a hearty voice came first. Qi was looking for a chance to visit alchemist Yao, but he didn't expect alchemy Yao to come to our Behe city first, so Qi took the liberty to visit, hoping that alchemist Yao and a few fellow Taoists would come. Don't be surprised. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 227. A businessman, if you want to make someone with your heart, it's hard to get bored. Just like this, although Guanxi Qi came a little too soon, Gu Yao and the others haven't settled down yet, but seeing Guanxi himself, especially after a few greetings, I still have a little affection for him. Director Qi came here mainly to get acquainted with the four of Gu Yao first. He did not eagerly talk about the business of medicine pills, and he left a Qianfeng Pavilion's responsibility token when he left. With this token, he can not only free access to the central island, get the treatment of the VIPs of Qianfeng Pavilion, and can enjoy a 10% discount in Qianfeng Pavilion. It has to be said that the means of these businesses to attract people is a set of sets. Just when Director Qi stepped out the door, he patted his head again, turned around and smiled. Look at my memory, there is one more thing I want to trouble Master Yao. Our Qianfeng Pavilion just got a kind of medicinal pill from Changxianmen, called Quenching the Spirit Pill. Give it to alchemist Yao to taste it. Tempering Spirit Pill. Gu Yao had never heard of the name of this pill, but Gu Yao was still very interested in the novel pill, but the name of Changxianmen made his eyebrows jump. Yes, the main effect of quenching the spirit is to clear the erysipelas in the body. It was researched by Li Qi, the same young genius alchemist in Changxianmen. Manager Qi didn't stay any longer this time. He gave Gu Yao 2 spirit-quenching pills and left. After leaving Mingkong Island, he looked back. For some reason, he felt that when he first disclosed the effect of spirit-quenching pill, those people his breathing was slightly stagnant. If he wasn't good at observing people, it would be difficult to notice this small change. Although I don't understand the reason for this change, Qi Guanxi felt that although these four people appeared out of thin air, unexpected things might happen. As soon as Guanxi left, the protective formation on Mingkong Island blocked the movement outside. Tianfirong and the little fat man hurriedly said, "This spirit-quenching pill is not the Qing Chen pill. How can there be such a coincidence? From Changxianmen it came out to clear the erysipelas again." Gu Yao wasn't too angry, but he didn't expect it to be here. He learned about it from the mouth of Qi Guanxi, and he said, "Look at the medicinal pill first. What is the difference between it and the Qing Chen pill? This medicinal pill must have passed the hands of a 6th-grade alchemist. At present, the most powerful alchemist in Qinhao continent is the 6th-grade alchemist, and they are all at the nascent soul level. Even if Gu Yao said that the Qing Chen pill was himself, it came out, but is it a 6th-grade alchemist at the Xinyuaning level or a 7th-grade alchemist of unknown origin? Therefore, after coming to Qinhao continent, Gu Yao did not have a clear dust pill flow out of his hand, and the symbol of clear dust pill was too obvious. As long as there was wind, people from Changxianmen would contact him and track his whereabouts. Premature exposure. He poured out the 2 pills in the bottle, and Qi Changjai also took one of them and looked at it together. Just looking at the appearance, it has nothing in common with Qing Chen Dan, but Gu Yao scraped some powder and tasted it, and the main function is still the same. Seeing that Tianfirong and Fatty were staring at him, waiting for the answer, Gu Yao laughed. "They have used the pill recipe, but I'm sure to restore the pill recipe completely. Because the main thing is still from him, and the pill recipe he shot is a combination of the pharmaceutical techniques of the interstellar world, it is not easy to make a big move." "Really? That's great. It's still okay for us to fight back against Chang Xianmen with this pill recipe, Tian Firong said with his fist. He was not reconciled to doing anything, especially what is the name of Li Qi's alchemist. With such a big face, he dares to take the credit of this pill recipe to himself? I'll get the pill recipe out first, and discuss how to use it with you, Gu Yao said and went to the pill room. There are underground fire veins here. Naturally, a special pill recipe and tool room were built for the rented monks to use. Gu Yao was not angry, nor was Su Chen, who was informed by Gu Yao of the situation. He knew best how this Jing Chen pill was formed. Although there were some tricks, it was inseparable from Gu Yao's profound skills in pills. The collections in the pill pavilion were all smashed and absorbed by Gu Yao. Which sex alchemist can get such an inheritance? What's more, an alchemist who can steal other people's alchemy recipes with such a big face, Su Chen also despised. This guy surnamed Li has no special adventures, and he has only stepped on the 7th rank alchemist in this life. His inclination has restricted him to death, but now I guess he is complacent. Gu Yao doesn't think that this kind of false name is different, he is proud of it, and I don't need to profit from this medicine. As long as he throws out a few top-grade pills, he can harvest a lot of spirit stones, so the embarrassing situation when he first arrived in Tianlin continent is impossible to reappear. After staying in the pill room for 5 days, Gu Yao came out. Not only did he restore the original pill recipe, but he also made further improvements. When he developed this pill recipe, he was only able to build a foundation, and now he has no further cultivation. The alchemy technique has also improved, and looking at the previous alchemy recipe, you can see many improvements, so his improvement is more perfect than Li Qi's. Gu Yao put 2 pills in front of Qi Changjai and the 3 of them, as well as pills that were refined based on these 2 pills. The original Qing Chen pill has obvious effects on the monks in the foundation building period, including the following, but when the pill is formed, the erysipelas becomes more stubborn, and the effect of the Qing Chen pill is weakened. The current improved version also improves the effect on Jindan monks. Or it can be said that the original is a low-level Qing Chen pill, and now it is an intermediate-level Qing Chen pill. Maybe there will be a high-level Qing Chen pill in the future. Gu Yao believes that he will one day have the strength to rectify the name of himself and the Qing Chen pill. Qi Changjai was not surprised by this result. Tian Firong and the little fat man happily held up 2 pill recipes, so what? Li Qi and their family Gu Yao are not the same person on the card. If they have to be compared together, it must be it was compared to the dust, who made him think that it would be dishonest to take this Qing Chen pill as his own. Gu Yao looked at the expressions of the 3 of them amusingly and asked, "What did you guys discuss?" Tian Firong and little fatty immediately became serious. It's up to brother Qi to say this. Gu Yao looked at Qi Changjai, and the other party held Gu Yao's hand and said, "We have discussed that Jianfeng Pavilion will give you the spirit-quenching pill. I think it is to borrow your hand to see if we can parse out the spirit-quenching pill. The pill recipe, Jianfeng Pavilion should have already done it, but it seems that the results are not great." Gu Yao's heart moved. "Are you going to cooperate with Jianfeng Pavilion?" Qi Changjai said, "The 2 of them have been running outside a lot these days, specifically to inquire about the city lord here and the situation of Jianfeng Pavilion." Qi Changjai explained it, and Tian Firong and the little fat man made additions, so that Gu Yao had some understanding of the city owner and Jianfeng Pavilion here. "I knew before that the city owner here is either a Yuanying cultivator or a female cultivator. He was born beautiful. Perhaps the beauty of Beihe City today has something to do with the female cultivator's aesthetics. Beihe City was not at the beginning such a view. In the 3 people's stories, the impression of the female city lord is very good. She has a Taoist companion, and her Taoist companion is only a Jindan cultivator. The 2 also have a child, who is the current young city lord. It's too coincidental to say that, Gu Yao, you can't think of it, city lord Liu's Dao companion is not incapable of aptitude, but he was injured in the early years to protect city lord Liu during the training process, causing one of his arms to be torn on the spot, and the other one. There is also a problem with one of his arms, because this injury has delayed his promotion, so Qianfeng Pavilion has been offering a high price to the outside world to offer a bounty for the extension of the limb, or a treasure of heaven and earth with the same function. The steward Lu we met when we first came, is the clan of City Lord Lu, and steward Qi of Qianfeng Pavilion is also loyal to City Lord Lu. Gu Yao asked curiously, is there not even a single leg extension pill outside? The materials are not complete, but I can't find a single one in those secret realms. Listening to what they said, City Lord Lu and her Taoist companion are very loving, but Jindan cultivator's lifespan is limited after all, so I think City Lord Lu is willing to pay any price to get a limb supplement pill. Tian Firong sneered and said, there must be, but if you think about it, you can guess the mentality of some forces. Now Beihe City has only Lu Chenzu and one nascent soul cultivator. If her Taoist companion, Taoist Zhang, gets the supplemental limb pill, she said it may be possible to successfully congeal the infant with a single effort, and the Beihe City, which has two nascent soul cultivators, will greatly increase its strength, and it will be a great threat to other forces. There is another reason, City Lord Lu and her Taoist partner have only one daughter. For example, Chang Xianmen proposed to let young Master Lu marry the son of Chang Xianmen, and Chang Xianmen gave them the continuation of the limbs with both hands. But the cultivators in Qinhao continent all know that Chang Xianmen is a tiger father and a dog, and the head of the sect is a man, but his son is not a thing, he has a good temperament, and the concubine he accepts is not known, but it is just unintentional. When I came to Beihe City to play, I saw the young city master, and I had to ask for marriage. Gu Yao originally had a bad impression of Chang Xianmen, and after hearing this, he was even more tired of it, so, City Lord Lu and Chang Xianmen have settled a grudge. I also know that City Lord Lu and her Taoist companions are unlikely to agree to marry this family. Chang Xianmen will definitely put pressure on Beihe City. It is not easy for Beihe City to maintain the current situation, so the enemy's enemy may befriend. Qi Changjai said, although that's what we said, we have never had contact with City Lord Lu or fellow Daoist Zhang, and the difference in strength between Beihe City and Chang Xianmen is too great, and Beihe City may not be willing to stand in Changxian. On the opposite side of the gate. Of course, all we need is that Beihe City does not inform us, and we need to rely on our own strength for all kinds of things between Chang Xianmen and the gate. After all, external forces can only be used to take advantage of the situation, and it is impossible to become dependent, so Qi Changjai did not intend to use Beihe City to deal with Chang Xianmen, and City Lord Lu also needs to consider the monks who are attached to it. So let's hand over this restored pill recipe to Director Qi and see how Qianfeng Pavilion acts. Qi Changjai set his eyes on one of the pill recipes, which was also a test of Qianfeng Pavilion and Beihe City. You can explore Qianfeng Pavilion's attitude towards Chang Xianmen. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 228. When he received a message from Mingkong Island and asked him to go to talk about it, Director Qi immediately put down what he was doing and went there. On the way, he was still muttering in his heart. He gave out 2 spirit-quenching pills. The idea of the pill recipe, if the pill recipe can be restored, the Qianfeng Pavilion will operate again to see what the Chang Xianmen has to be proud of. Qi Guanqi knows that the Chang Xianmen is now strictly controlling the outflow of the spirit-quenching pill, just to take advantage of the major forces and want to gain greater benefits from it. The effects of the pills have been verified by all parties, and the Chang Xianmen seems to be. I am also convinced that it is difficult for other people to parse out the pill formula in a short time, so I have no fear. But the time is too short, Qi Guanqi thought to himself. It has only been a few days. According to the news from Qianfeng Pavilion, some forces have shot up the 6th rank alchemist, but there is only one result, and the alchemy formula cannot be restored. Well, maybe a few of them want to do business with Qianfeng Pavilion in other elixir-related business. Director Chi told himself this, but there was still a touch of disappointment in the bottom of his heart. Could it be that no one can do it? When Director Chi arrived at Mingkong Island, there were only Tian Furong and Little Fatty on the island. Director Chi asked if Yao Danchi was there, and the defendant resigned him and went out to play with Chi Changjai. For a while, Director Chi didn't know how to look. Tian Furong laughed secretly in his heart. He actually knew that Chi Changjai had made such an idea a long time ago. With the two big light bulbs like him and Little Fatty, it was difficult for the two of them to talk quietly, so he quickly let him go. Chi Changjai packed up and brought Gu Yao out to play. Management Chi may not know, I and Little Fatty can take full responsibility for their affairs. Pill Master Yao entrusted the matter to me before he left, so there is no need to worry about managing affairs of Chi, and I will not be able to speak. Long story short, this time, please manage Chi beforehand. Come, there is something to be handed over to Director Chi, and Director Chi will understand after seeing it. Tian Furong didn't delay, he directly took out the paper with the restored alchemy recipe and handed it to Manager Chi. At the same time, a jade slip was attached. The jade slip even recorded the entire alchemy process with divine sense, because some things were difficult to use. Expressed in text. Chi Guanqi was a little careless at first, but when he swept his eyes across the paper, he almost couldn't control his aura, and he stammered for the first time, this is the spirit-quenching pill recipe. In the end, his voice was very high, with great shock and disbelief. He looked at Tian Furong with bright eyes, and the latter pushed a jade slip over. Manager Chi hurriedly called his divine sense to check. The whole person was so excited that he couldn't sit still. He stood up and walked around for 2 times. The Yao alchemist was really amazing. It took only 5 days to get it out. It made people suspect that this medicinal pill came from Yao alchemist's hands. It has to be said that Qi Guan's matter unintentionally revealed the truth. Also, this is the spirit-quenching pill refined by alchemist Yao, and the quality is slightly better than the one brought by Qi Guanqi. Tian Furong once again launched a jade bottle, one after another. Qi Guanqi felt dizzy and dizzy. He opened the jade bottle and saw that it was not only a little better, this bottle is going to go to heaven. The 9 pills in the bottle are all high-quality quenching pills, and what he brought is only low-grade pills. What do you want? Or what do you want us to do with Kinzage? Taking a few deep breaths, Qi Guanqi tried to calm down and think about the problem. Tian Furong followed the steward on the way, and smiled and put forward their conditions. First, I hope that your pavilion will keep the identity of the alchemist who provided the elixir secret and not make it public. Second, no matter what method Qianfeng Pavilion uses to operate this elixir, alchemist Yao only needs half of the profit. Alchemy Yao is afraid of trouble, and I just want to stay in Beihe City to rest and cultivate for a while. Qi Guanqi looked at the two in front of him in surprise. These 2 requirements are really too low. The first one, he thought about it and understood it, should not want to face the behemoth of Changxianmen. Limited, only Jindan cultivation base has not had time to grow up. If such a genius is damaged in the hands of Changxianmen, he will also regret. Is it just that the second rule is too low? The tube straight seems to be given to them bye. There is no third or fourth rule. After Qi Guanqi said it, he felt that he had asked a very stupid question. Haha, Tian Furong and the little fat man laughed together, thinking of these 2 things for a while. Don't worry about managing Qi, it would be good to be able to stop Changxianmen's investigation, otherwise this recipe would not fall into our hands. Room to play. Manager Qi smiled and said cheerfully, okay, if the 4 of you need anything else, as long as it doesn't violate the principles of Qianfeng Pavilion, please feel free to speak. Okay. Taking Dan Fang away from Mingkong Island, under the calm surface of Qi Guanqi hides an unbearable mood, and if he works well, it will definitely make Changxianmen suffer a big loss, and the surprise brought by Yao Danqi is too great. 5 days to restore the alchemy formula. Where is the limit of Yao alchemist's alchemy skills? He had a feeling that alchemist Yao would bring him even greater surprises. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai were on the upper floor of Suihu Lake on the central island. They asked for a table by the window and ordered a table of special dishes, and they were especially expensive. The reason why it is called Suihu building is because one side of this building is facing an island that can snow. Although it is an artificially made snow scene, it is not interesting against the lake. The most famous special dish of Suihu is the snow silverfish that lives in the deepest part of the lake where Shuedao is located. The temperature there is extremely low, and it is difficult for ordinary spirit fish to survive there. Later, someone discovered it. The snow bait there is extremely delicious after cooking, which is full of praise. The most rare thing is that it does not require any cooking skills at all. It is best to experience the deliciousness of snow bait when it is sliced and eaten raw. Because snow silverfish is delicious and the quantity is rare, the price is very high. Any monk who comes to play here will taste it if it is not bad for the spirit stone, but it is eaten every day. It is estimated that few people can bear it. Fortunately, most monks do not have appetite. Gu Yao retracted his gaze from the outside, looked at Qi Changjai and said with a smile, I think Beihe City is a place where eating, drinking, and having fun is brought to the extreme. It is rare to see such a distinctive city in the world of self-cultivation. Come here. Not for cultivation, most of them are purely for play. What it does is tourism. It is indeed rare in the cultivation world. Although it is easy to shake the hearts of some monks, it has to be said that it is a good way to attract wealth. Earn a lot of spirit stones. Qi Changjai seemed to remember the past and smiled. Some monks have lived too long and will focus on how to enjoy themselves. Presumably such monks would be happy to rent an island in Beihe City to live for a while. Yes. But there are very few of them, and more of them will not stop practicing and want to climb higher peaks. Of course, it is good to adjust them occasionally. Even Qi Changjai, an enterprising sword cultivator, felt that it was easy to relax in such a place, and he believed that he and Gu Yao were not people who would indulge in enjoyment if they were not determined. Soon the maid served the first dish, the sashimi of silver snowfish. Slices of fish slices as thin as cicada's wings were placed on the cold jade. The fish slices seemed to be emitting cold air, and the sides were dotted with other color. Just color is very attractive. The maid recommended them several ways to eat after staying. Some of them are eaten directly, which can best taste the original taste of silver snowfish, and some are eaten with seasonings. Several kinds of seasonings with exclusive recipes are placed in several jade plates. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai tasted them one by one with great interest. It has to be said that it was a feast for the taste buds. After eating one plate, I served the second plate. Before eating, I rinsed my mouth with clear tea. The second plate was cooked, and Gu Yao's eyebrows were shaking when he ate it. No wonder Suihu is so famous. Snow silverfish is enough to attract visitors from all over the world. They came to this island and asked passers-by at random, which restaurant is good here, and someone recommended it to them. So in the next time, the two went around to taste the food, saying that this place is for eating, drinking, and having fun. That's right, because the restaurants on each island not only have local materials, but also others from the mainland. Locally, all kinds of ingredients are brought in. Even if Gu Yao and Qi Changjai are not gluttonous, they will linger in such restaurants. After the two came back after eating, they did not forget to recommend Tian Firong and Fatty to let them taste it, so the four of them, plus two little beasts, almost ate all the remaining spirit stones on them. So they at this time, Jianfeng Pavilion sent a sum of spirit stones, which could be regarded as suspending their economic crisis, otherwise they would have to find a way to earn spirit stones. This also cooled their enthusiasm for tasting food a little, and they had the energy to pay attention to the operation of Jianfeng Pavilion. It is very obvious that Jianfeng Pavilion did not launch spirit quenching pill in the name of Beihai City, and even Beihai City did not listen to it. To the name of quenching pill. Manager Qi, who gave them the spirit stone, explained, I think you have heard of the grudge between Beihai City and Changxian Gate, but Beihai City is only supported by City Lord Lu alone, which is not suitable for Frontal and Changxian. The door is right, otherwise. Guanxi Qi sighed for a while. I was afraid that when the news spread, Changxianmen would force City Lord Lu to marry young City Lord to Changxianmen anyway. When mentioning Changxianmen, there was a gloom and hatred in Qi Guanxi's eyes, and if he didn't pay attention, he wouldn't be able to detect it. Gu Yao asked curiously, then how did you do it? The amount of the spirit stone is really not small. Manager Qi laughed, you guys are playing all day and don't care about the situation outside. I don't know that several big auction houses auctioned the same item at the same time some time ago, but when the relevant people remembered to track down the situation of Dan Fang's master, they checked no clues. Don't worry, this matter has nothing to do with Beihai City and Jianfeng Pavilion, and even if Changxianmen deliberately finds out, it won't be able to find Beihai City. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 229. Qi Guanxi left, but Gu Yao was a little frowning. This is bad. Changxianmen must be guessing that we came through other channels. If we really want to track it down, it is estimated that it will be easy to find us, and there will be doubts on our identities. After all, their respective characteristics are still very obvious. He is an alchemist, Qi Changjai is a thunder sword cultivator, and the two walk together again. Even if they change their names and change their faces, Changxianmen will probably prefer to miss it. Past thoughts stare at them. Qi Changjai patted his head, don't worry, unless you don't use the quenching pill, they will always have doubts. Moreover, the Qinhao continent is much larger than the Tianlin continent, so it's not enough to find a few monks in the vast sea of people. It's not easy. What Qi Changjai thought was that unless Gu Yao kept covering up his talent in alchemy, he would be exposed sooner or later. Don't forget that we are now in a cooperative relationship with Jianfeng Pavilion. For the sake of Jianfeng Pavilion and Beihai City, I believe that the steward will also hide his deeds for us. Gu Yao nodded, this is true. After coming here, they were not disturbed by anyone except to contact Director Qi. When they went out to play, although they did not deliberately cover their faces, no one recognized them. Obviously those who knew the name of alchemist Yao did not know that they had come to Beihai City. Tian Furong said, the big deal is that we will separate and hide in the mainland. No matter how capable Changxianmen is, it will not be able to turn the entire continent upside down. In fact, Gu Yao wasn't too worried. When he went out to play again, he slightly modified his current appearance, and he was traveling in 2 and his identity was never revealed. After playing around for a while, the four of them focused their energy on cultivation, and of course they were no longer blindly retreating. Gu Yao continued to study his alchemy technique. Qi Changjai was either practicing swords or pondering talisman techniques, while Tian Furong picked up his artifact and devoted himself to the great cause of refining with great enthusiasm. The Tian family was originally good at refining weapons. Later, in Tianfu Academy, he also read a lot of related books, and also practiced magic tools, but the level of the magic tools was too low, so they might as well have obtained them through various means. The grade is good, so I can't show his results. Now that he found that he didn't make much progress in cultivation, and he didn't need to open a shop anymore, Tian Furong devoted his energy to refining tools, and he couldn't blindly rely on Gu Yao. He also needed to have his own expertise, and he had the green flames and different fires are also very helpful in refining tools, and it would be a pity to give up. Little Fatty thought about it, he didn't have the talent for alchemy and refining, so he tried the spells and formations, and found that he was quite talented in formations, although he couldn't compare with other people. Compared, but there are multiple skills and multiple means of survival and life-saving, so he also plunged into the formation technique. Guyao sees that everyone is busy and hard-working, and he is very happy. In this way, everyone has a goal and the ability to be close by. Even if they are scattered and walk alone in the future, they will have one more ability to make a living. It can also improve self-protection and combat ability. Even when rafting on the lake, everyone will hold a book in their hands, sometimes they will read a book, sometimes they will look up to enjoy the scenery, or they will exchange a few words. Compared with the previous days, such comfort is really rare. It's just that everyone knows in their hearts that this kind of comfort is only temporary and will be short-lived, so we must seize the time to enrich ourselves and improve ourselves. The Kinzige or the City Lord's mansion can see their actions, including the City Lord Lu, too. Guyao's alchemy technique that she likes may have a way to help her Dao companion recover. Over the years, the City Lord mansion has been recruiting. She has met many alchemists and monks who practice medicine, and her Dao companion's ability to maintain the current situation is already the result of many people's efforts. She didn't pin all her hopes on Guyao, but didn't want to miss any opportunity. When Director Qi came over with the restored spirit tempering pill, City Lord Lu let people secretly pay attention to these four people. Anyone who knows the couple knows that Jianfeng Pavilion is affiliated to the City Lord's mansion, because City Lord Liu's Taoist companion is called Zhang Jianfeng, and Jianfeng Pavilion is named after him. In fact, the controller of Zhangqianzi is also the cultivator Zhang Qian. Director Qi came to see Zhangqianzi again. The Zhangqianzi in front of him, except for his pale face, looked the same as ordinary people, except that one hand was not moving very neatly, while the other hand seemed to be intact, not like what outsiders said was torn. In fact, as long as you look closely, you can still see the difference. That arm is just a puppet arm that is installed on the broken arm. Although it can be used flexibly, it is not as good as your real arm. Qi Yi, you are here, you will pour tea for you, Uncle Qi. Hey, a woman with a refined temperament came out of the back room. It was Lu Yu, the young city master of Beihe City, who treated Qi Yi as an elder. After Lu Yu poured the tea, she sat aside and listened to the two elders. If Lu Yu took over Beihe City in the future, she could not be ignorant of these business matters, so as not to be led by the nose. Qi Yi and Zhang Qianfeng started talking about the four Guyao, which made Lu Yu curious about them. She also heard about Guyao's alchemy technique. Compared with him, Li Qi from Changxianmen, what does it count? Zhang Qianfeng asked, what speculation do you have about them? Qi Tu said, I have a very bold suspicion. You may not be equal if you say it. Lu Yu smiled, Uncle Qi, why do you think we are inferior before you say anything? Zhang Qinzi also smiled and waited for him to speak. Qi Yi laughed, and said, I very much doubt that the spirit-quenching pill was not made by Li Ji of Changxianmen, and it is very likely that it has something to do with this Yao pill master, and they also seem to have a conflict with Changxianmen. Since I sent the spirit stone to Mingkong Island to explain the treatment of Dan Fang, their expressions have been a little different, as if they are worried about something. After that, when I came out to play, my face was covered up. If I hadn't been in contact with them, I might have ignored them. Does this mean that they are very worried about being found on their heads? But why worry? Zhang Qianfeng touched his chin and said, in other words, if the spirit-quenching pill did not come from Li Qi's hand, then our secret auction of the pill recipe might make Changxianmen suspect the real owner of the pill recipe. Strangely, our people can only find out that they first appeared in the sea outside Jiangke City, but they can't find any traces of them further forward. The characteristics of the four are too obvious, they should not be unknown people. If this makes sense, why can Pill Master Yao restore the pill recipe within 5 days, unless he is the true master of the spirit-quenching pill, although the spirit-quenching pill has been manipulated by Changxianmen, but the essence has not changed, so it can be done in a few days. Lu Yu gasped when she heard this. How old is that Yao Dan teacher? Is there someone behind him to give advice? Qi Yi said, looking at the bone age of less than 40, it is the fellow Daoist Chang Ye, no more than 50, indeed very young, like a disciple carefully cultivated by a major sect, but there are many things that don't make sense. Zhang Qianfeng said thoughtfully, have you ever thought that they are probably not the monks on our Qinhao continent? Did they come from other places through the teleportation array? That would explain why they appeared in the sea. I didn't find this person before. As far as I know, Changxian sect is in control of several places. Qi Yi subconsciously objected, but those places are all barren. How could it be possible to cultivate such 4 golden pills? Even if they are placed in our Qinhao continent, they are not inferior to the elite disciples cultivated by the major sections. But Qi Yi found out that Difeng of Tailuimen didn't seem to be able to get a good deal with them, let alone Muan, who had just completed Dan. Zhang Qianfeng did not reject this possibility in his heart. Maybe there is no one among the 4 of them. You know that I have seen a lot of collections over the years, and some places were split off during the ancient war, so those places may be in a bad state of spiritual energy, but there is not necessarily no inheritance passed down from ancient times. Changxianmen has always been domineering in recent times. It is difficult to guarantee that the idea of getting rid of Changxianmen's control will arise in the realm below. In order to achieve this goal, it is not impossible to gather all the resources to train a few monks. This. Qi Yi was also shaken by persuasion. If this is the case, then they came to our Beihe city for a purpose. Zhang Qianfeng said with a smile, it's not necessarily, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's just for fun, and cultivation also needs to be temperate. According to the situation, they have never let up their cultivation since they appeared in Jianjiun city. I think it's better to find a chance to chat with them, but before that, it's better to hide their whereabouts. Although they moved some hands and feet before, they did not erase all traces. Qi Yi nodded. It seemed that he really needed to have a good talk. If the other party really came with a purpose, it would be impossible for him to have no action all the time. Lu Yu's eyes lit up. Uncle Qi, take me with you when you go to Mingkong Island next time. Zhang Qianfeng said with a smile, if Yu wants to meet you, take her there and let her be a guard or a steward for you. Of course Qi Yi would not object, and Quan should take Lu Yu out to relax. With regard to the matter of leaving Changxianmen, Lu Yu rarely used her original appearance to walk in Beihe city on weekdays. They all hated the persecution of Changxianmen, and Zhang Qianfeng would never sacrifice his daughter's life for his own body and push her into the fire pit. It was because of this that Lu Yu did not make up her own mind. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 230. When Guanxi Qi and Lu Yu came over, Guyao was leaning on Qi Changjai lazily, holding the book from Pill Pavilion in his hand, and he was completely absorbed in it, so Qi Changjai adjusted his body from time to time, okay to make Guyao lean on more comfortably. Director Qi and Lu Yu saw the scene when they arrived. The two looked at each other in amazement, and had a clear understanding that it was the relationship between the two. They also knew about Zhang Yunchenj. Now that they found out that the two had such a relationship, they couldn't help but feel that those incidents were ridiculous. It was no wonder that these people were impatient to stay in Zhang Yunchenj. The two do not have any discriminatory thoughts on the situation of men and men forming a Taoist partner. As long as they are loyal to each other, it will be fine. For example, Lu Yu feels that the Taoist model of her parents is what she yearns for the most. Pursue the road alone. And in this world of self-cultivation, only a family of self-cultivation that relies on blood inheritance will pay attention to the combination of men and women to produce offspring. However, when a monk has absolute strength in the family and has the right to speak, those rules in the family will become set up. What's more, the stronger the cultivator, the smaller the chance of having offspring, so for those top powerhouses, who would care whether they were a man or a woman? Even a demon or a ghost will not interfere, that is enough to support it. Originally, this world is a place to speak based on strength. Lu Yu saw that Yao Danji was really young, and Chang Ye was also the same, which showed that they were all very young when they built the foundation, so they could maintain their appearance at that time. When Gu Yao was reminded by Qi Changjai that there was a guest coming, he extracted it from the world of Danju. When he looked at the person who came, his eyes were still confused. It took a while to react, and his eyes suddenly became clear. Lu Yu couldn't help but be amused, and it could be seen that he really trusted Qi Changjai wholeheartedly, so he would let go of all his guards, be unprepared for the outside world, and be unaware of strangers approaching, but she knew that Gu Yao usually this is not the case, because when the pills were not formed, a few people joined forces to destroy the people sent by the Mu family, and they still lived with the demon cultivator for a long time in the 100,000 strong mountain. Gu Yao blushed slightly, and hurriedly got up and clasped his fists with the steward. It turns out that the steward is here, the reception is not good, please take a seat. He took a special look at Lu Yu, his consciousness was relatively strong, and he clearly felt this picture. The disobedience of his face, but he didn't care too much. The people brought by Qi Guanqi were always trusted by him. Qi Guanqi also finds it interesting. He feels that he is addicted to alchemy to the state of obsession. It should be like this. It can be seen that he really loves alchemy, not just using alchemy as a means of making his name. For example, Li Qi from Changxianmen. Guessing that the spirit-quenching pill may have been stolen by him, and he despised this person more and more in his heart. Qi Guanqi walked to the stone table and sat down. Their current position was right next to the hanging waterfall. The huge sound of the mighty water flow was separated by the formation at the moment, so it did not affect the conversation of people at all. The four fellow deists are really interested. It's rare to see a cultivator combine cultivation and leisure so well. Of course they got the consent of the little fat man when they came in, and then the little fat man pointed them to a place for them to find by themselves. Come, don't care about other things, this kind of free and easy way of life makes Qi Yi look envious. With outsiders around, of course Qi Changjai had a cold look, but he took the initiative to pour tea for Guanqi Qi and Lu Yu, and took out a plate of spiritual fruit. Tongji was so virtuous that he couldn't be more virtuous, but Lu Yu saw that both of them were virtuous. It's a matter of course that he doesn't feel any disobedience, and he can only twitch the corners of his mouth. Gu Yao smiled and said, "Didn't Director Qi combine the fun of doing business with practice? Or do you just treat business as a task that has to be done?" Kiguan was stunned for a moment, and then laughed out loud. It was interesting, really interesting. As long as you have the heart, you can see the shadow of practice everywhere in your life. It is not necessary to retreat and meditate. This kind of cultivation method can actually be called cultivation of the mind, which is conducive to improving the realm of the monks. Just a few words, Qi Guanshijing feels that the realm that has not been raised has been slightly loosened. Alchemy Yao is very elegant, but there are many monks in the world. How many people can achieve the level of Alchemist Yao? This time Qi came here to ask Alchemist Yao what he thinks of Alchemist Changxianmen and Alchemist Li Qi. As soon as these words came out, Qi Changjai and Gu Yao immediately cast a strange look at him, and then looked at each other again, expressing the same meaning, that is finally here, the pill recipe they gave still aroused the suspicion of the other party. Which is what they expected, if there is no action, they will not continue. Gu Yao smiled playfully, "Changxianmen? How can our little Jindan cultivators have the ability to compete with Changxianmen, and as for the Li Qi alchemist, I have never dealt with it, I want to come, most of them are famous. Fish for the honorable." Guanqi Qi laughed again. "When I saw Gu Yao who was addicted to the pill book, I thought he was a pill idiot. Such a person is not very good at other fields, but now he has seen the other side of Guyao, in other aspects of life. On the other hand, he can be smart and even shrewd, but he is not so easy to fool. There was also a strange look in Lu Yu's eyes. Now she is more interested in Guyao than in Qi Changjai. It would be better if he could help her father. Lu Yu's heart rose with expectations. Maybe it was because her eyes were too hot, that it attracted Qi Changjai's cold glance, and Lu Yu couldn't help twitching the corners of her mouth. She didn't destroy other people's emotions, she didn't expect this guy to be so small. Why did Alchemist Yao say that Alchemist Li Qi was a person who made a name for himself? Director Qi asked with interest, as if to break the casserole and ask to the end. Qi Changjai glanced at him impatiently. What are you talking about in such a hidden way? Qi Changjai very simply took out 2 pills and pushed them in front of Director Qi, letting him take good care of them. Director Qi looked down. The more serious he looked, the more serious his expression became. Lu Yu also came over to look curiously. She didn't stop him, and it made Guyao and Qi Changjai more and more sure that the female cultivator's identity was not easy. There are 2 pill recipes. One is the Qing Chen pill recipe that was determined in Tianlin continent, and it is this one that was handed over to the Shifang City Lord Mansion and Changxianmen. It is the foundation. Without it, there would be no hardening. Lingdan, the second one is the Qing Chen pill, which can also be an upgraded version of the spirit quenching pill. Neither of them had the talent for alchemy, but the pill recipes could still be understood, especially the first pill recipes were clearly written with the words Qing Chen pill, and the second pill recipe was better than Qing Chen pill and spirit quenching pill. The value is even greater. At this moment, the management of Qi is extremely certain. The Yaodan master in front of him is the spirit quenching pill. No, it should be said that the real owner of the Qing Chen pill. So, spirit quenching pill is actually an imitation of the Qing Chen pill recipe. Its real master is Yao pill master Yu. Although it was a question, his tone was very affirmative, and Director Qi praised Guyao's pill technique even more. The blame of the Qing Chen pill recipe is that although the materials it uses are numerous and miscellaneous, the added cost is not very high. As long as the pill recipe is popularized, ordinary monks can also eat this medicine rice. Guyao nodded in the expectant gaze of Director Qi, and said, "Yes, the Qing Chen pill was developed by me with the help of several alchemists. The pill recipe had to be handed over to Changxianmen. It has the same effect and was introduced by the alchemist of Changxianmen. I thought I could find someone who likes it, and have the opportunity to learn from each other and verify it." Manager Qi smiled. He didn't believe this at all. He dared to say that after this pill was handed over to Changxianmen, maybe Guyao had already guessed that there would be this result. I also admire his calm attitude. Director Qi didn't ask Guyao's relationship with Changxianmen before, so he would hand over such an important pill recipe to Changxianmen, but asked, "How are Alchemist Yao and friends of Changxian going to face Changxianmen?" Guyao touched his chin. "Face? You definitely can't face it head on. Wouldn't that be hitting a stone with an egg? So when you don't have the strength, you can only try to hide, and if you have the opportunity, you can pry the corner of the Changxianmen to add something to them." Trouble. Is Director Qi here today speaking on behalf of the City Lord's mansion of Beihe City? Does City Lord Lu mean the same thing? Qi Guanqi looked at Qi Changjai strangely, but saw his old sitting on the ground, letting Guyao be the master. What Guyao said was what he said. He couldn't help laughing and said, "I don't believe that you two have never heard of our City Lord. The grievances between the mansion and Changxianmen, unless the young master of Changxianmen can give up his thoughts, there is no room for easing between us and Changxianmen. Don't be afraid of the 2 jokes, whether it is our City Lord or the City Lord's Taoist companion. It is impossible to sacrifice the young City Lord to complete ourselves, but our City Lord's mansion, like the 2, can't compete with Changxianmen head on, and all we can do is sabotage. Let's talk about the good things of Changxianmen." After the auction of the quenching pill, I heard that the head of Changxianmen was furious, and many alchemists were arrested and questioned. To trace who leaked the pills, we can see heartwarming. Guyao and Qi Changjai also knew a little about this, because Tian Firong and Little Fatty went out to inquire about the situation afterwards. Now the quenching pill is no longer unique to the Changxianmen family. Among them, a large commercial firm bought it and has already sold the quenching pill in their own business. There are also those sect forces that silently make their own for the use of internal cultivators, which really destroys the wishful thinking of Changxianmen who want to use the quenching pill to gain benefits. You must know that some forces are negotiating with Changxianmen. If they want to transfer some benefits, they hope that Changxianmen can provide quenching pills. If they want to dig this chicken that lays golden eggs, I don't want to. Wait. After the news of the Danfang auction came out, those forces immediately turned their heads away from Changxianmen, but they made Changxianmen angry.